Have you ever had a dream that was so big, everyone around you just kind of laughed? Well, today we're going to get into a short but really powerful story about exactly that. It's all about a boy, a goal that seems completely out of reach, and the kind of quiet, stubborn grit that can make even the sky give way.
And this is really the core of it, isn't it? You've got one person's dream up against a whole world of doubt. It's a battle a lot of us can probably relate to. So who comes out on top? The dream? Or all those voices saying it can't be done? Let's dive into the story and find out.
All right, first up, a boy's dream. This is where we get to meet the kid at the center of all this.
So this is Arav. He's from a small village. You know, a place where people's feet are planted firmly on the ground. But Arav? His eyes were always looking up. While everyone else was focused on the dirt and day-to-day life, he was lost in the stars. And out of that fascination, this one simple, huge dream took hold. He wanted to fly.
Okay, part 2, laughter and failure. Now, of course, a dream this huge is going to run into some trouble. For Arav, that resistance it came from two main places, from everyone outside and from inside his own workshop.
How will you ever touch the sky? You got to hear this, not as a question, but as a statement. This wasn't just some friendly ribbing. It was basically the town's theme song whenever they saw him. Their laughter was this constant background noise, always trying to pull him back down to earth, to stop him before he even got started.
And this was his sanctuary. What looked like a pile of junk to everyone else, old cans, bent pipes, tangled wires, was a laboratory to Arav. He was literally building his dream out of the stuff that his world had decided was worthless. So, while the village was laughing, Arav was dealing with a much more, well, explosive problem. His rockets didn't just fizzle out. They failed in a big way. They exploded, they burned, over and over and over again. Just imagine how frustrating that must have been, the temptation to just walk away. But this is what made Arav different. He had his own little system. First, he'd try. Then, he'd fail. And then, he'd smile. After every single explosion, he'd just crack a small smile and get right back to work. That smile, right there in the face of disaster, that's the heart of this whole story. It's just pure resolve.
Now for part 3, the flight of hard work. See, that relentless cycle, that trying and failing and smiling, it wasn't for nothing. It was building towards something big. A breakthrough was coming. And the laughter? It was about to stop.
This timeline really puts it all into perspective, doesn't it? This wasn't a weekend project. We're talking about months of this process. Build, explode, rebuild. Months of hearing people doubt you on the outside, while dealing with disaster on the inside. All of it met with that quiet smile. The amount of grit is just staggering.
And then it happened. After all those months, all that work. One day, it flew. It probably didn't go very far, but that didn't matter one bit. For just one perfect moment, his creation defied gravity. It defied the laughter, and it soared up towards that sky he'd been dreaming of forever.
And the effect on the village was immediate, total. The very same people who used to mock him were now just standing there, jaws on the floor. The voices that used to shout their doubts were suddenly replaced by the sound of applause. In a single moment of flight, Arav had completely changed their reality.
Which brings us to our last section, the sky bowed down. So what's the big takeaway from Arav's incredible journey? The story leaves us with a really beautiful and really powerful final thought.
If the dream is true, even the sky bows down. The idea here is pretty simple, but it's so powerful. It means that if your dream is genuine, if you chase it with real passion and just refuse to quit, even the biggest obstacles, the ones that seem as huge and impossible as the sky itself, they'll eventually have to give way.
So Arav's story is a simple one, but the message is deep, and it kind of leaves all of us with one last question to think about. We all have people who doubt us, we all have our own setbacks, our own cycles of failure. So the question is, what's that big, crazy, impossible thing that you're reaching for? What is your sky?